President Barack Obama's job approval rating has dropped to 41% for the week that ended on June 22nd. That's down significantly. In previous weeks, it was up in the 44-45% range. Then it had been 42% and now 41% last week. The 2 weeks taken together indicate this is a real trend. We are seeing a definite drop in the American public's approval rating of President Barack Obama. Why? Numerous causes. We don't know exactly for sure. We never do when it comes to presidential job approval rating, exactly what's driving it. But certainly the news has been dominated by foreign affairs, particularly what's happening in Iraq. And although our data showed that the public supports Obama's decision back in 2011 to remove U.S. troops from Iraq, the uncertainty in Iraq may certainly be eroding the public's confidence in his leadership ability. We also know the economy remains the #1 problem facing the country, and although there are signs of improvement in the economy, it's still not great according to a lot of Americans, and that too could be hurting Obama. And finally, I think it's important to point to things like the Veterans Administration health care crisis. Our data show, in fact, of a list of items that the President and Congress could address, the VA health care crisis is at the very top of the list. In other words, Americans prioritize that. And of course, that is something that's controlled indirectly, at any rate, by the administration, and that could be hurting Obama as well. We can look at where other two-term presidents stood at this point in their 6th year in the presidency. George W. Bush, back in 2006, had approval ratings that were down in the 30% range. So he was doing worse than Obama, even after Obama's recent drop. And of course, in 2006, the Republicans, Bush's party, did very poorly in the midterm elections. On the other hand, the other two recent two-term presidents, Bill Clinton and Ronald Reagan, were doing much better at this point. Both in their 6 years, summer of their 6 years, had approval ratings up in the 60% range, Reagan and Clinton. For Clinton, 1998, that translated into a very strong performance on a relative basis in the midterm elections. And even though Reagan was doing well back in 1986, his party, the Republicans, didn't do quite as well in the midterm elections. So these are not perfect predictors of midterm performance, but nevertheless, any party would rather have its president with high approval ratings rather than low approval ratings, and Obama's, at this point, clearly are low on a relative basis at 41% for last week. I'm Dr. Frank Newport, Gallup Editor-in-Chief.